feel like this has been in the makings for a little bit. We've been wanting to get Griffin on, but now it lines up with him being the hottest hitter. What feels like, I would say on the planet, but Aaron Judge has got you edged out a little bit right now. And Joe Mack in your own org is also swinging the stick really well. But one of the hottest hitters on the planet, Griffin Conine, joining the show to talk about a little bit of everything. But of course, we got to start with, dude, what the hell was that series in Charlotte that you just had? And how you feeling right now, dude?
Yeah, it was a fun week. It was weird just because first game got rained out. I think it was first game. So we were just sitting until Wednesday, and then Wednesday, first game was over. It was an over, which is like just a weird. You have a great week. Usually, like you're starting off hot, at least a couple hits day one, or at least feeling good. But it was an over where I was like feeling pretty good. I hit 3 balls. I just missed one that was like a pop up. Lined out to first, lined out to left. So was in a good spot. I felt like, I was pitched pretty well the first day. And I think last at bat, day one, kind of set it up where I was at bat before, missed a couple pitches at the top of the zone that were pitches I should have hit. So the next at bat, I was really like, I'm really going to chop down here. Like I want my swing path coming through like chopping wood basically, because it was also my fourth at bat was against like a spinny 89 guy with a lot of ride, a little cut. And I was like, I know he's going to pitch to the top. Like, I'm just going to lock my stuff in, really switch my bat path and kind of overemphasize it. So I was kind of like, this is an 0 for 3. Like, at least I want to have a good at bat. My last one set up the week and end up getting robbed. The guy in left lays out. Apparently he's on Sports Center that night. That's what Xavier told me. And it wasn't even like I hit like 83. Like, it wasn't like I smoked it, but it was a good swing. It was like a pitch running away. Anyway, like that kind of last at bat, I felt really good. Like I felt like I saw the ball really well, had all the time in the world. So just kind of kept that feel going. When I got to the field the next day, we had doubleheader the next day. DH game 1 doubleheader. It's ideal. Best thing you could possibly see going to the park. DH in game 1. I knew I was probably gonna be out there day 2 because we were low on guys. Game 2. So DH game 1 saw Tukey, who I faced when we were at home. Faced him in high school as well. So he's a lot different pitcher than he was in high school. I think you would agree with that. But still really good arm. Guys were like, he was throwing sinkers to most guys. I think righties, he had this 2-seam sinker that he was dotting every pitch. We were looking at the iPad and it was corner. But to lefties, he was going 4 seams. Me and Troy, for sure, he was going 4 seams up. So both at bats, I think I ended up getting 4 seams up and just the same feel of all of my hands coming through the zone, like top of the zone and chopping down on it, and put 2 good swings on it. Had a little issue going to second on the first one. Got a little big, wanted the double. Knew I probably shouldn't have gone for it at such a small park, but ended up kind of eating it a little bit. Had a good laugh about that one.
Real quick, what does a little issue look like in between first and second?
It looks like about 2 steps after hitting first, I knew I did not quite have the speed that I wanted to be able to get to second. So I tried to go to 70 grade speed when I'm like 50 and realized my legs can't move that fast. So what happened was straight down into the dirt, took a mouthful of it. Pretty graceful, I thought. That's what I heard. On the camera, it literally looks like I thought second base was 30 feet instead of 90. And
what I loved was you tried to spin it too. You tried to like roll for a little bit, but you weren't close enough to try to roll that.
What happened was I was slid 30 feet, 40 feet from the bag. My thing was I was hoping that like he short hopped second base and like, or maybe the throw was a little offline. I could still sneak in there, but the throw was like right on the money. I probably would have been out anyway. So like I just like got up as soon as I saw that. I just like gave in, somersaulted, wear it, good swing, still get the hit. Luckily, love that that's the rule.
Yep.
But that was tough. And then
goes down in the book, 112 single.
Yeah, we'll take it. Would have liked the double, but we'll take it. And then I think after that I was just like, all right, like this is kind of the feel we're going with for the week. It's working right now, and they kind of have a lot of similar. They're a big off-speed team. Like we do that going in. Like they're ripping 3-0 sliders out of the zone. Like they're just everyone. It's not just like a guy like likes the slider. Like it's almost like organizationally, like when we're behind, we're gonna throw off speed. So you know that going in. You still got to be ready for heaters, but I think a big part of that was just game planning. Knowing we have to see balls up, so you got to get comfortable. Like, I think if you're going into that series and you want attacking heaters at the bottom, you're probably going to expand on pitches down that are breaking below the zone. So I kind of like set my sights up, which I know I talked to Arm a lot about being important. Like when you can control the top of the zone, you can see off speed a lot deeper. You don't have to worry about chasing down. And yeah, I think that kind of just rolled me through the rest of the week after those first couple games.
So since May 27th, I did a little query last 2 weeks of the minor league season. Guys that have played 8 games or more, you're second in all of minor league baseball in OPS to a guy that you know pretty well. So you've got a 1361 OPS over the last 2 weeks. This guy is a 1415. He just got back up. Are you going to shoot Spencer Horwitz a message like, hey, man, I wish you would have slowed down a little bit?
Horwitz, really, huh? I was wondering. I hadn't. I went to watch Davis I think yesterday they were playing, and I saw Horwitz sitting right behind him. I hadn't heard that he was back or got called up, but I was watching his swings like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I mean the guy's like he's elite. He's a great swing, great hitter, controls the zone really well. So I was like, man, he's got to be up soon. So that makes sense why he's up. 1,400 OPS, usually gonna get a good chance to get up there, and it's cool to see him and Davis sitting back to back. I know they're close, so that's awesome.
It's awesome to find. I think Davis and Spencer are just perfect examples, and I think now you're seeing it with yourself too, where baseball has gotten so hard, and the minor leagues are such a I feel like a gauntlet that things can really click for you at your age 25, 26 season. That's something that we've always talked about too. I know, Griff, with like people love to talk about age to level and all that stuff. And I know you make a lot of sarcastic jokes about that, because it's like if you have the talent, sometimes it's just a matter of something clicking and then figuring out how to translate that in a game, into a game context. How much, like Davis Schneider, of course, one of your closest buddies, become, I'd like to say, a friend of mine because of, just how tight you guys are and the time I've been able to spend with him. But seeing where Davis has come, like from high A, playing once a week, to now doing what he's doing at the big league level. And you guys may not look the same, but you have similar archetypes, which is you're going to hit the living crap out of the ball, you're going to hit it in the air, you're going to hit home runs, and you're going to walk. Like, how much did it help, I guess, maybe your confidence a little bit to see Davis doing it, see Davis have that success, have the conversations that I know you guys always have, and know that, you can do that as well?
Yeah, I think 100. We're similar in a lot of ways. One of the main ones is how consistently we would change our. I'm talking baseball wise. Yes, we're both like probably the biggest Seinfeld fans that I've met, and we're always exchanging any thoughts that relate to life on Seinfeld to each other, on a weekly basis. But as far as like swing stuff goes, he's a guy that like he was changing more than me possibly every at bat, like setup, swing, load, whatever. He's loves Mike Trout, so he'll be like, I'm going with the Trout today, and like he'll hit like Mike Trout, and like obviously it's not like you're not like looking at Mike Trout up there when he's up, but you can see like where he's feeling that, like he'll go with the similar leg kick, similar hand slot, and it's just funny to see someone like that like doing it at the big league level, where he feels like he's just imitating his favorite big leaguers, like at a wiffle ball game, and he's doing it against Garrett Cole and Homer and off Josh Hader. And it's working. And it's just like, that's a guy that just, he always had the hit tool. Like that was always, even in high school. I do some guys that saw him in high school, the Jupiter tournament. He was like unbelievable, won the MVP against like the best pitching ever, or that you'll see in high school. And that's a guy that just like, he always had it in there, and even at that age. And it's just like, where can you find it on a daily basis moving up through the system? And I think eventually he's still changing stuff. He's still telling me he changes stuff, but I think like, and that's true, you're going to always change setups and timings, whatever. But I think once you find that like quickness and game readiness, big league readiness, that's really what it comes down to, is like AAA is a level and it's tough. And then once you get to big leagues, it's some guys, that level jump is just enough to throw them off of whatever was working for them. And that's where you find like the quad A players, they call them, whatever it may be. And I think that's just a guy that he found the big league readiness. And then he's like, every day it's in there, whether or not you have a good game or bad game. I think he's always having good at bats, he's getting robbed a lot. He's getting hosed on strike calls, but he's competing every day, which is, that's all you want to do.
I'm curious what the process of finding it looks like during the season, because like you do this every day for 6 months over the course of a regular season, and not to mention you're in the pressure cooker of big league spring, and everybody's kind of dealing with that, and then you get into either the minor league or the major league season, and you are showing up to the ballpark every single day, and even on the off days, chances are you're flying, and in the minor leagues you're connecting flights on commercial flights, or you're on a 10-hour bus ride. I see you guys take batting practice on the field, and I'm like, if I was in this, I feel like I would never want to go through a full BP, because you're probably just tired at this point, and you're getting through it for the last 3-4 months. How hard is it to like actually find it during the course of a 6-month nonstop season?
It feels borderline impossible some days. Some days it feels like it's the most elusive thing ever and you'll never find it. And then some days it's like, it's just there from swing one. It's weird. And obviously the way to get up there is to figure out why it's there some days and why it's there not, and like where the disconnect is. And that every hitter is different. Maybe it's some of the lower half, it's timing, it's upper body, it's whatever. It could be one of a million things, and everyone thinks about it differently. Me and Troy, pretty close. We talk about hitting all the time. He literally feels almost the exact opposite of what I want to. And I think a lot of it goes with our dominant hand. He's a lefty dominant, and he's a lefty hitter. So his top hand is really strong because he's dominant lefty. So a lot of what he's trying to feel is to counteract that. He gets choppy, he'll get ground ball heavy. So he wants to feel himself tilting under the ball. And that's like the exact opposite. Like when I feel that, that's when I'm under. So now what I just told you guys about my last series, like he would never want to feel that, because that would throw him off. So it's just figuring out like what your miss is, like what your main thing working against you is, and then how can we counteract that the most we can. So when you get in the game, you're at baseline where like you don't have to think about things as much, and you're just like, obviously I'm thinking, I want to hit the top of the ball, but I'm not like stepping out every time and like making sure everything's right, because that'll throw you off in itself. So I think it's just, as far as finding it, I mean, for me last series it was more of an upper body thing for me. I think I was talking to Matt Mervis, I know Arm shared his thread with him about hitting, so I was like, I got in his ear a little bit on the off day and just, what are we thinking? Like, I wanted to hear it from him, and he was thinking a lot about back hip stuff, coil. He said like he was chasing this feel that he had there, couldn't find it, and it was frustrating. And so I was like, I haven't thought about back hip all year, and I agree with him that like, because he was like, even when I have good games, I felt like it was more they were making mistakes, and if they had executed, I wouldn't have done well, which is like, it's a very glass half empty kind of feel. But I heard what he was saying, because like when you go up to the show, like you're not getting mistakes every at bat, and if you want to do well, like you're gonna have to hit their best pitch. While you're looking for mistakes, yes, and if you get them, great, but if you don't, you can't just be like walking back to the dugout every time. You're not gonna be up very long. So I think day one, I actually I was thinking a lot of my back hip, BP and everything wasn't working, wasn't feeling it at all. And then went into the game and kind of like threw all that out. I was like, all right, let's just compete. And then the last at bat, I kind of found what I was looking for, and it ended up being, I wanted to have my back a lot more like tensed up and ready, almost like my top hand. I wanted like this whole side of my back with my arm up here. This was all really, really like, I don't want to say tense because that sounds like a bad word, but it was like ready to fire, versus like, I think weeks before I was trying to be so comfortable in the box and loose, and I didn't have that readiness. And then I was rushing and trying to find it. And that was kind of an all-encompassing click for that week. And that's just what happens when you can find one thing, because that kind of set up my lower half well. I was moving really early. I felt like I was controlling everything. And it's just, I think when you can simple it down to one cue like that, and it sets everything up, you're a happy life as a hitter, because you're thinking about one thing instead of 10. So I think that was big for me.
So that was going to be my question, because we talk a lot about just kind of like how to simplify the load, how to make it I think as repeatable as possible. And generally when it's a hand load, you don't have anything that's making that repetitive and really able to be the same thing every time. Whereas you're thinking about just pinching your scap. That's almost the same move that you can recreate over and over again. But there was a couple other things that you mentioned there too, which I know we've talked about, which is like feeling like you're swinging down on the ball and how that wouldn't work for a Troy, but that works for you because a guy like you already creates that tilt. You already are a guy that's geared up for lift and is going to always have that loft to your swing. So it's that feel versus real that we talk about, where it's like you're not actually chopping it down, but that thought is going to get you to the even middle ground that you want to be in. How do you balance? And I know this has been a big part of it for you through every single stop and something that you've been focusing on as a pro, but how do you balance the being willing to adjust and being malleable with, I don't want to chase my own tail with all these different feels? Because you mentioned it with Davis, where I think in the minors, he was chasing his own tail. He found the baseline, and Leans always has that baseline to go back to, and then he'll make subtle adjustments off of that. Like, do you feel like you've found that baseline now and you make subtle adjustments off of that? Or do you still catch yourself maybe sometimes chasing your own tail with that baseline?
I think this week will be a big indicator, I think, because this is that was the first week this past week where I was really locked into that feel that I was just talking about, and where I was really like on top of it, like all in on it, convicted, like my swings and BP felt great. All the work was good. And now it's like, you have a day off and now we're new scenery back home. Can you like find it again? Like this will be a big week to like not find it again, because I feel like it's still there. I have a bat at my house. I was dry swinging yesterday, just in a mirror. I was feeling like everything I wanted to feel. And I think like that's the thing that's crazy. Even on dry swings, like with no pitch coming, I can feel when I have it and when I don't. And like obviously, like just be like, why don't you just always have it? If you can feel it, there's no pitch coming, like just like feel it. And it's like it's tough to mimic like what you want to feel when you don't really know what that is. But I think I don't know, I think it's big what locked in last week. Like I think it's significant. Obviously, like great week. I've had great weeks before, maybe never to that degree at this level, definitely not. But I think like I'm pretty excited to just like get to the field today and pick up a bat and then get it going again. And then, we'll see where it goes. But as far as like all the feels from last week, what all of them down was as specific as I could be. And I've, my notes page at this point is like 50 pages of stuff. I could scroll back a year and I'll find notes that are the exact opposite of what I'm telling you right now. But I think that's being a hitter. Like things come and go. They come in cycles. I've had this feel before. It's not like it's a completely new thing. Like I've thought it before and it's worked before and I've ditched it before. So I think the goal here is going to be to not ditch it and just understand like we're in a spot now that I've never felt at this level. So I think it's just going to be like, how do we find this? Like, how do we repeat this? And also you want to mitigate swings as much as you can. Like I think every guy will tell you like you want to be able to just take like 30, 40 swings, be ready for the game. There's been days when I've taken 150 and it's gone well. And there's been days when I've taken 150 and it's gone bad because I've got tired. And there's been days I've taken like 30 thinking I had it and then it's gone bad. So it's like, I think the end goal would be know what you're trying to feel, get in there, just get it ready for the game, save as many bullets as you can. And then, we're in June now, still got 3-4 months of the season left. So you want to make sure you're good going into August, September.
I want to hang out on the think about one thing instead of thinking about 10 things real quick. And you mentioned the notes page is super deep. And, it's something that like I think relates to a lot of people in a lot of different professions. And it is something that I feel when I'm even trying to call your guys' games where, I've got like 10 to 15 things that I can choose to try and improve on a given night. But like my thing right now is I've finished some thoughts with a weird questioning tone that just does not need to be there. It's not a questioning thing, but like I finish up for some weird reason. And there are, again, 10 to 15 things that I can work on, but that's like the one thing that I zero in on in a given game. And that's like really freaking hard for me to only pick one. That has to be near impossible for you to only pick one, because you probably have 10 to 15 things that you're looking to point to. Or does it change where it's like, this is the one thing, I'm going to hyperfixate on this one thing for the next 1, 5, 10 games, and then we'll find the next thing when I feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's a lot of it, really. I think most guys going into a game, whether they feel good or not, it'll be like minimizing the one thought.
Yeah.
If you're in a decent spot. Obviously, if like stuff's speeding up on you, then like sometimes you gotta think about more than one. You know, you just like it might be a load and then a swing thought. You know, like I have to like make sure my foot's getting down on time, and I want to be like to the top of the ball, or if you're Troy, you know, I want to be making sure that I'm not getting too much to the top of the ball, whatever it may be. But I think like for the last series, I think load, the less you can think about your load movement, the better. If it could just be like a swing thought, because then like your load, you know, you're just getting ready to hit. Essentially, you're getting your swing ready. And I think like that was probably the least I thought about. Foot down, whatever. I think it was mostly just like getting my hands ready before the pitcher's ready to go. And like in this new feel with my back, whatever it was, scap load, whatever you want to call it. I feel like I was getting a lot more into my back, and I feel like I could really like. It was like if I wanted to. When I got in the box, it was like if I was gonna punch a tree. Like what I would do, like if you're gonna punch a tree, like, you're not just be like chill, like you're gonna be freaking loaded up, like you're gonna actually crush it. And so like that was the feel I got in the box, and like it was just it's a good feeling. Like I was loaded, like I felt actually loaded up as soon as I stepped in. Like that was the feel. Like I would have my hands down here, and as soon as the pitcher's set, I bring them up, and then like I feel like a ton of just tension, like energy. And then I was like, I'm just waiting for the ball to come in right now. And like I think that's the readiness, whatever you want to call it. I think it's really important. And some guys feel that, and some guys want to be loose and flowy. And I think I'm the first guy where it's like I want to have tension, and like I want to feel like I'm in the weight room or something. Like I'm about to lift heavy weight, because like the bat's not heavy and it doesn't feel heavy, but you want to move it really fast. You have to move it really fast. So like I think it's like preparing your body to do that, especially when a guy's throwing hard.
No, that's crazy that you use that analogy. Griffin and I have never exchanged that analogy ever, the punching aspect. And when we did the Corbin Carroll dive, that was the exact analogy I was using with how wide he was getting, because when you overstride like that and if you try to punch from that overstrided position, you have nothing behind you. So like that was the other analogy that I was using there. But like I think people look at hitting and they feel like it is extremely, extremely complicated. But the baseline things that you guys are going for, I think can relate to a lot of different sports, or just a lot of different feelings or things in life. Like if you spread your legs out and try to push somebody over, you know, or you try to, like you said, punch a tree for whatever reason. I don't know why tree, but if you're trying to punch a tree, you know, like you're not going to be able to do that from like that wider setup. And if you're not on your backside or whatever, like there's a lot of things that I think translate to the way you'd be able to impact a baseball. So going off of that and just like beyond that, how do you now focus on the approach and that side? Because I think that's been a part of your game that's totally different, and not different, but I would say just at the highest level that it's been, as you're playing at the highest level you've ever played at. Like, I don't want it to be lost here that yes, you've had this nuclear stretch that has put your OPS over 900, but even before this series, Griff, like this has been some of the better bat to ball we've seen from you. Like this has just been all around, like lowest K rate since the I think short season ball. Like yes, you weren't 100% where you wanted to be, but before that series, you still had an 818 OPS playing at the highest level that you've ever played at with the best contact rates that we've seen from you. Like you've been doing things this year at a really strong clip. So even before that feel that you found in this last series, like how did you feel the rest of the season so far? And I know it's been some ups and downs overall, but still cumulatively, like it's been a really strong sample, I think. Like, did you feel like you were still doing some things better than you were previously in up to this point?
That's like, it's funny just because I knew like obviously 800 plus OPS, you're in a good spot. Like you're in a good spot. But if you would have asked me, I wouldn't have felt like that. Not just because I'm like pessimistic or like hard on myself, which like Arm knows I am in a lot of ways. And that's fair. You know, I'm a perfectionist, but I think like it was just, I was seeing flashes of it, like I'd see flashes of it but I would never, it was rarely that I'd go into a game where I was like, I'm freaking locked in. Like, I'm going to rake something today. It was kind of like, I don't know. Like, there was swings I felt good. Some days it felt better than others. Some days felt horrible. Where I literally hadn't taken one quality swing in all the work. And I'm being honest with that. Like, it's just like, you're searching for things and you can get messed up quick. Like, even going into that week, last week, I think I came into the week hitting 238 to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, now it went up like 30 something points in 1 week. So like it's 238. I was just like, no matter how good I felt, I was walking a lot. Was like, was hitting more homers these past few weeks than to start the year. But I was swinging and missing a lot on pitches I didn't think I should have been, and it was just putting not a great taste in my mouth. Like I was still obviously happy to be where my numbers were at, but I knew like I wasn't close to the next level, to the big leagues, just because like I didn't have that sense of like I can hit every pitch right now, or like I can. It was kind of like what Mervis was saying, where like guys make mistakes, and I was capitalizing, which is a good thing. You don't want to be missing mistakes, but also you got to be able to hit pitches that are clipping the zone that that aren't middle. And I think like that was what I started to see last week, where guys were executing where they wanted to pitch, and not the best staff in the minor leagues. I think that's pretty easy to say about Charlotte, but also they're making pitches, and I was putting good swings on pitches that have given me trouble in the past, which is something that's a good feeling. And I think like before that, it was almost like I had my holes, and if pitchers executed to my holes, I wasn't gonna compete. And like that was something that was tough to deal with, just knowing like numbers are a decent spot, but like I wasn't making that next step where I'm like, I can hit everything right now. So I think it's just like taking the flashes and like trying to like extend them, drag it out, make it not a flash, like make it every swing you're looking to do damage. Because I think that was a part of it too, where I was so concerned with putting balls in play that sometimes I'd give at bats away. Just like guy makes an executed slider away, and I'll just like kind of take like a half effort swing and like push to third, or like push to short. And there's something to that. Like obviously you don't want to give at bats away and just like take huge swings and then work yourself out of counts. But also on the flip side, if it's an 0-1 count, you don't want to just like give yourself up, kind of give in and put a ball in play when like, yeah, maybe it'd be 0-2 if you take that pitch. And then that's something in the past where I'm like, if I'm 0-2, I'm in trouble. Like, this is not good. And like start to speed up a little bit. And instead of like, especially Charlotte, for whatever reason, like I got an 0-2 a few times, and I was just like, a lot of guys make mistakes in the zone 0-2. I feel like now more than ever, because they don't waste pitches anymore. Like it's just like they're still trying to execute their best pitch. And I think a lot of pitching coaches, like as a hitter, we're like 0-2, like, okay, this is not gonna be in the zone. Like can't expand here. Like all these thoughts when like it should just be, I'm still looking for a mistake, like a mistake pitch. And like, yeah, you have to be able to foul balls off that are tough pitches, but you can't just give yourself up and be like, I'm just going to like put some in play. Because I realized I was swinging the bat how I would never swing it to do that. So now it's like, it's finding the balance where like I feel like I can get my best swing off and put balls in play, which obviously like, that's what everyone's looking for. A lot of that's just this move of staying on the top of the zone and planning for that. And then anything down, I can always adjust to down. So it's like, but I think I've always known that. I think it's figuring out the move to the top of the ball where I can adjust to down. Because I think early in the year I was really set on the top, and I would notice that like when I was controlling the top or putting it in play, it was a lot of time almost too much. Like I was getting on top of balls and like rolling them over. My direction kind of was out the window. I was becoming very rotational. So it's like I feel like I found a balance last week of I can get to the top and hit line drives up the middle, and then if it's a pitch that's fading down in the zone, I could just see it longer and still be able to drop the bat on it instead of like rolling pitches over. I think that was big with like a couple of changeups. Changeups down have been like my kryptonite this year, at least as far as righties go, because I think it just exposes direction. I see a pitch that could, especially if it's like looks like a fastball tunneled well, I'm already like shoulders already turning as I'm reading it, and then I got nothing left. So I think my feel of this left arm kind of pulling back behind me, it's really opened up and let me to be able to get inside balls and like more time for fastballs essentially.
Dude, I freaking love what you just brought up about 0-2 mistakes, especially in AAA pitching this year. And like sitting here watching this, and you're just looking at the league-wide numbers, Major League average OPS is 699 right now. It's the first time under 700, and again, we've got 4 months to go, but it's the first time since like 88 or 89, I want to say. And then you look at AAA OPS right now in the International League, I think it's like 770. I see so many more mistakes in pitcher advantage counts than like I ever have in the minor leagues in 5 years. And I think a lot of that is because of the ABS, but I also think a lot of that is because like these guys don't want to make a mistake because they don't know how many mistakes they're going to get, because they execute a good pitch 2-2, it misses that ABS zone, and then all of a sudden they're 3-2. They make a good pitch on 3-2, it misses that ABS corner, and then they just walk the guy. And like everybody's got elevated walk numbers in AAA. Like literally everybody. You see random bullpen arm comes in, he's walking 6.5 per 9. Every single bullpen in this league has that. Do you feel like you are at an advantage with the ABS zone, or do you feel like it's finicky in a certain sense?
I'd say I think it goes both ways almost. Yeah, I think last year I would have thought, I don't know if they made it bigger or they changed the tracking this year, but it feels a bit, it goes back and forth. Like there's balls away that I'm positive are there. Positive. I'll take it, be like, that's there. And then I'll look at the sheet or the iPad and it'll be 2 balls off, 3 balls off.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like it's something where you like almost don't trust your eyes as much, because now you're like, a pitch you thought was a strike isn't. But at the same time, you also get pitches that are the catcher's gloves hitting the ground. I think the bottom is where pitchers can really utilize it to their advantage. And I don't know if like, it's really tough to do that, obviously, because like it's tough to throw a pitch it's just going to clip the very front edge of the zone. But I think those ones are the ones we get hosed on a lot, is like those sliders that are just clipping the bottom, because it's from where it reads from where it crosses the plate, right? The front of the plate. So if you got a guy with a big curveball or like a hard downer slider, it's going to cross the plate at one spot and then it's going to hit the ground, and that's going to be read as a strike. And those are pitches that no umpire, maybe Angel Hernandez would call, maybe, but no other umpire is going to call that. And yet, you know, in our league, it's a strike, and it's not even like an arguable strike. So I think it goes both ways. I think too, it's important not to rely on the ABS for walks, because I think everyone's goal here is to get up to the bigs, right? And it's not the same zone. It's a bigger zone. It's going to be a bigger zone. You want it to be the same, or even better, because like you want it to, the edges to be the same, but you don't want them getting the pitch down. But the fact is, like, they're going to get calls. So I think if you find yourself really relying on the ABS to have good at bats, what's going to happen when it's taken away? So it's like, you want to use it to your advantage. Obviously, you don't want to be expanding just to expand, because like that might be a pitch in the show. I would never say that. But I think it's important to know, like, you want to be able to put good swings on pitches on the edge, is basically what I'm saying. And like those are like the first my last out of game 1 in Charlotte, where I was over, was like a fastball that was like probably a ball off the outer edge, and I was pretty happy about that, because like I expanded, yes, wouldn't have been a strike, wouldn't have been a called strike if it was all ABS game, but like I put a good swing on a pitch that was an executed pitch, like right on the corner, maybe out, and that's a strike. In the big leagues every day, that'll be a strike. So it's like, I think it's a good feeling to be able to like put good swings on pitches that are clipping or just on the outer edge. That those are different swings. You know, those are swings where like you're like, damn, like that can, or like pitches in. You know, you see guys in the show like they're hitting homers on pitches off the plate away. Tatis did last night. I was watching.
Yes, dude. That was.
If you can put moves like that on the ball, like then pitches in the middle seem like you'll never miss it, or like you'll never miss a barrel. Like you may not always get hits, but I think it's important to like know that where we're at in AAA is like, it's not going to be the same once you get up there. And like, I think that's why a lot of guys could see a drop off than I get to the show, which is fair just because you're working with a bigger zone against better pitchers. So it's like two things working against you, it feels like. But I think it's just day in and day out. Know the ABS is what it is. Also, something I wanted to say was, I was thinking about the other day. I was thinking about it when I think Marty got one of those clippers where it was like slider, just clip the bottom of the zone. And I was just like, how can we ever expect to like hit that pitch in this league? Like, we can't, right? But there is something to be said about it's where it's crossing home plate, right? The front of home plate. So I think it's like, you really have to have good direction to be able to hit those pitches. And that's like something that's super key, where I'm trying to still lock in on. I think the difference has been fastballs. I'm not trying to catch out in front as much. I'm trying to like see them deep and like feel like they're on top of me when I'm hitting them. But off speed, as soon as you read off speed, it's almost like I got to get the bat out there. Like I have to like get the bat out there, and that's not something I've thought about ever. It was almost like, and I've never hit off speed particularly well in general until this year. And I think that's been a big part of it. Is like a pitch is way nastier the last 6 inches that it's moving into the catcher's glove. So you don't want to hit it at those last 6 inches. You want to hit it as far out in front as you can, because it's just going to break more and more, especially like cutters bearing in on you. Okay, they're crossing maybe on the inside corner. And if you're catching it deeper than that, it's going to be even closer to you, and you got no chance. So it's like a lot of it's still in a guy's arsenal, what he's going to come at you with. But I think catching balls out in front, especially off speed, is essential. It's the only way you're going to hit those balls at the bottom that seemingly are unhittable, which they are a lot of the times. But if you can get your barrel out there, that's how you can compete on those pitches.
So you mentioned like catching the fastball deeper too, because I think the one exception to the breaking ball conversation is that like that's a pitch that's just going to fade more the closer it gets you. So you do want to get it out there, but at the same time, if you're trying to go out and catch a changeup, you could end up kind of flailing at it too. Do you feel like letting that fastball travel more is also widening your margin for error when, oh shit, that is a changeup, and still being able to back it up enough to get a piece of it? Like, do you feel like that's helping you potentially cover that? Because I know that's like, you feel like the missing piece, you're demolishing breaking balls right now, but do you think catching fastballs deeper will allow you to have a wider margin for error on changeups when you're maybe fooled?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think a big part of it is like giving up, like catching a fastball that's on pull side. Like probably the best feeling as a hitter. Like you fastball in, catch it out front, crush it to right. But the thing is with those swings is usually if you're doing that and it's a good fastball, you're going to be leaving yourself susceptible to off speed. So it's like you take your shot, sure. Like if a guy's fastball count heavy, maybe 0-1, he likes his heater. Like he'll start off speed and then he'll go heater, which like a lot of guys would do that now. Especially with me, I think first pitch heater, I'm sure my numbers that's kind of what I'm always looking for. So I'm sure like I haven't checked them, but I would assume like pitchers know like, all right, if you throw a first pitch heater, it better be at the top of the zone or like maybe off the plate away. Like you can't leave it, or you're going to go off speed first pitch, and then we'll go heater. So it's like, it's not that you can never go for that. All right, I'm going to get the head out on a heater here and crush something pull side. But I think it's definitely not with two strikes. You know, I don't think I can. I think if I think that, I'm kind of giving myself up for any pitch he executes slower that's moving away from me. So it's like just knowing, okay, pitch in here, I can still foul it off. There was a couple against Sean Burke last week who was like 96, 97, great fastball. But it also had like a good changeup where it was tough to pick up. So like you had to give yourself more time to see it. And there was a couple swings, but like there was one that was right down the middle, 3-2, that like I fisted foul. Like I had no chance to put it in play. But at the same time, like I think the next pitch was a changeup down, and I laid off it. And that's like, you couldn't do both those things if you're not giving him the fastball there, which is like, yeah, I think if I'm as locked in as I was at the end of the week, I'm still hitting that hard to left field when I fouled off. But at the same time, it's a foul ball. You let the see other pitch. And like, it's like, it was a weird feeling where in the box where I was like, wow, like I felt like I swung when I was in his glove, but like my path was so clean into the top of the ball that I could still clip it and then get another pitch. And like when you step out of the box and like you just did that, it's a good feeling. So you're like, I felt like I saw that ball all the way from his hand into home plate. And like, yeah, I didn't take the swing I wanted to and put it in play, but at the same time, what are you going to beat me with now? Like, you just executed your fastball up and in, and I fouled it off. I know a pitcher hates that, and now he's going to come back with another pitch. And then I think I ended up walking that bat, but that was like a game changer at bat for me. I think for the week, I think that was the second game of the doubleheader. And then after that, I was like, I was all in on it. I knew they were going to throw a lot of off speed, so I was like, if it's a fastball, just foul it off, and then take your shot on fastballs when you think you're going to get one or have a good chance to get one. But at the same time, like, it's like you got to be ready for fastball, but equally as ready to wait on an off-speed pitch. And like, that's kind of like finding the balance of being able to do both those things.
I don't have fastball, but I've got 9 for 16 with a double and 2 homers on 0-0 count. So that speaks to it. And then how about you're hitting 417 on 0-1 too? So say you get that breaking ball, they come back with a fastball 0-1, you're 10 for 24 with a pair of homers too on 0-1. So you're like, have you always been a guy that's ready to hunt early? Like, yeah, Seager is the guy that we kind of talk about when it's like, yeah, he's ready on the first pitch.
I think it's the way I think of it is honestly, it's a good feeling. So like, first pitch, you get in the box. Like, my approach against a guy that I haven't seen, if like 2-pitch states, 2-pitch guy, 3-pitch guy, whatever, usually I will like all in on heater, because I know what a heater is going to look like 90% of the time. If it's 2-seam seam fastball, 4-seam, they all pretty much look the same. Sliders, curveballs, those are the ones that like every guy, like they move it a little different. It comes out differently. It might spin differently. So I think in the past I've gone up where it's been like, all right, this guy's 60% slider, and I'll sit on it, and then I'll get it, and like I won't even know what I'm looking for. Like, I'll watch video, but you don't really know until you get the box. So like, I end up giving a pitch away because like either I expand on a pitch I've never seen before, and I'm like, oh shit, that was a good pitch, or I'll be sitting on it and then I'll get it and I won't swing because I'll just be like shocked about how it looks or whatever. And I think that the switch I've made is like, just be ready for a fastball always. And then if you get a slider, fine. It's like almost like a win-win. It's like you get a slider, if it's a strike, okay, that's the one, that's a strike that I want to swing at. That's what it looks like. Now I know. And then you have confidence, like, okay, I'm seeing it in that exact spot again, or like he's going to come back heater here, which I was already on in the first place. So now it's like you like have a chance at both pitches. And that's just like, that makes a lot of sense to me as far as approach goes, like going into guys. And it'll change. It'll vary, like, all right, second at bat, if I've seen all he's got, maybe I'll be sitting slider. It's like, now I know what it looks like. I could take a better swing at it. Yeah. But I think like the at bat against Steven Wilson last week, a good example, on Sunday, the homer, you went heater first pitch in, second pitch slider, like split the middle. Like, and I was pissed I didn't swing at it. But also I was like, okay, like that's what it looks like. It's like pretty big sweep. Got to start out there. Can see spin pretty well. So I was like, okay. And then he went heater again, and then he went slider again. And it was almost the same. It was a little elevated. But I don't think I think if I swing at that first slider, foul it off, maybe I'm not taking that swing on the second one. Just because like I had more confidence. I felt like I saw it all the way to the glove. There's something to be said about taking a pitch and not swinging. You can see it a little bit more, which is like, I guess that's obvious because you're not swinging. But like being able to see it as it's breaking, like passing you, that locks you in, I think, to another degree where like next time you get it, you think less and you're just like, I know how it's going to move. I just watched it. And like now we just like let it move right into the bat, get the swing off.
I know you got to get to the field and do your preparation, and you're at the coffee shop right now, which is, I know where you normally go to kind of crush some video, see what you're going to get from the pitching side that day and all that good stuff. I did want to ask real quick, because I know a lot of really interesting information is now available to fans, especially with at the big league level with the bat tracking side of things. And I know that was something that you were like, hey, I'm going to dive into this and see what I find and see what kind of like, what stands out to me. And you and I had like a little bit of a conversation on it, but honestly, we have not really had the time to dive too deep into it. But I just wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about what stood out to you when you dug into the bat tracking stuff. And I guess what you think matters from that, because I think it's a lot of information. I think a lot of fans will just see oh, this guy's the best at this and this guy's the worst at this, and kind of make generalizations off of that. And Jack and I tried to kind of warn against that. But, just looking at the bat tracking data already so far, what were some of the things that you maybe found interesting?
Yeah, I think I thought just the extremes that I first heard about made the most sense, or the best indicator of it, when it was they compared Arise and Stan as far as these numbers, and it was Stan best bat speed, Arise the worst, or close to the slowest swing, and then it was swing length, the arc of your swing, Stan the biggest, Arise the smallest, and those two things are just, I feel that's a pretty good indicator of what we're looking at here. You got a guy that's biggest swing and miss probably in MLB the last few years, close to it, and then you got the guy that's the less, and then you're looking at these numbers, and I think a grain of salt with a lot of it. You're not, obviously I'm not going to try to swing slower to the point where I'm going to actively slow my swing down, but I think there is something to be said about slowing up and allowing the bat to kind of work through you naturally, work through you, whereas you're not just trying to get a fast swing off. Because I think the slower your swing is, time to contact important too, I think, right? You don't want to, if you have a slow swing and it's a long swing, that's the worst combo, I would have to think. And that's why Rise, he's the outlier of having such slow bat speed, because elite bat to ball, his path is the shortest path to the ball. So he can swing slower. He's allowed himself to do that because how clean this path is, and that's all his work that he does. A lot of it's to the top of the zone or top of the ball, which I think those go hand in hand. Being able to swing at a slower rate but still hit 95 at the top, still hit 98 at the top. That's just an elite skill, basically. And I think and that's trainable. You can in the box and just think. I think that's why a lot of times big leaguers, BP, they're not in the box first round just getting their best swing off. It's a slow ramp up of they're feeling, okay, let me feel a couple to right field, and it's almost how slow can I swing here and still get the head around? Because that's ultimately what we're looking for. I think if you want to get in the box and you feel I got to get it going, I gotta really gear up here, almost never going to be a good result. Because it's just you're messing up a lot of things in your path when you do that, especially if you're chasing bat speed. So I think my takeaway is just knowing that, okay, with two strikes, we need to be more adjustable. That's just a fact. You're not going to be able to get your A swing off if you want to be able to compete on multiple pitches, and he's making his best pitch. You're looking for a mistake, no doubt. And I think your swing will speed up if you see a mistake, and it'll slow down if you're seeing a pitch that's I need to foul this off. That's why you see so many got Mookie is really good at it. Jose Ramirez is really good at it, where they can it almost looks like no intention of putting it in play. Their only intention is to tick it foul, and they'll tick foul elite pitch, tick foul elite pitch, get a hanger, and they're not ticking it fair. They're hammering it fair. But I think it's that first move to the ball is very not tentative, but very selective, where it's not a full get after it swing. It's a read, and then let the bat kind of gently get into the zone, and then okay, and then we'll speed it up and just flick it. It was a curve, and then maybe fist it foul. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I would say. Would you almost say that those are the guys that have those B swings that they just have in their back pocket all the time? Is that kind of what you're alluding to there?
Yeah, I think, or it might even be a C swing at this. It's literally like a foul ball swing, and it's and I felt it before. I felt it with Burke, where I was if you watch the video, it still looked like I was getting A swings, or not A swings, but full swings off. But I think the difference for me was just letting it travel so much, and I had no intention really to hit a fastball hard and play, at least not to the pull side. I was giving that up. I was that's fine. I'm not gonna expand here on off speed, and you can have a fastball, and I'm gonna foul it off, but I'm not gonna put it in play. And I think if I had gone all dead red fastball, I probably would have missed a one at the top that was in that at bat. So it's and I'm sure those guys know that. If you look at all the top foul ball numbers of the league, it's almost always like an all-star team of guys, because it just makes sense. Like guys and pitchers get angry, dude. They get mad. They execute your best pitch and you ticket foul on like a horrible looking swing, and they're just like, well, what the hell, man? I got to make another one, and then they throw another one. And if you do it twice, like there's probably no way to pull that, but like I swear, if guys can foul off 2 executed pitches, almost always will be like a good ball in play within the next couple. And that's how we feel as hitters too. If you foul off 2 guys' best pitches, and your confidence just going through the roof, because you're like, what's he gonna get me out with? Like, yeah, I didn't put it in play, but like I also didn't get out. Like, he's got to keep throwing pitches, and then eventually, just a matter of time. Like, guys will make a mistake, and it's just, if you could find that ability to just tap balls, just tick them, just like get a bat on the ball for a second, then eventually mistakes will come. So it's like, it's hard to do that. And obviously, and no hitter would say that's our intent. Like, you're obviously looking to do damage every swing, but there's a level of like, as you're reading it, okay, this is the pitch I'm going to do damage on, but it might be a pitch that rings me up. So like, let's compete here. Just hit it somewhere. And then I think that's like a superpower. If you can foul ball, like Sanoha team, really, really good at that. Watch him at like unbelievable at 2 strikes, foul it off on like pitches way off. Like, maybe for me, I'm not swinging at those because like I probably won't touch him. And that's just like knowing the hitter. And he's a guy that like elite bat to ball. So like he's swinging at all those, taking him foul, and then he'll get one that's not even on the plate. It'll be 2 balls off, but he'll shoot it to right field. And that's like good hitter. Just got a tough guy to face.
I've got one last question for you. Every stop, regardless of level, you've tried to swipe it back. You successfully...
I didn't tell him to do this.
Nope. You've successfully swiped the bag everywhere except Pensacola in 21. You were there for 42 games. You were 0 for 1. When's the attempt coming?
I'm waiting for... we get times to plate every day, right?
Okay.
You get pitchers time to the plate. I think I'm waiting for about a 1-8 to the plate.
Okay.
And then I'll get it going. So I think I don't know what I'm hoping for. I guess it's like probably like a line guy that throws really hard and just big leg kick, and he's just like, run if you want. I think it's not
what you're going to do. Yeah.
Maybe I'm waiting for a catcher that's had some arm issues recently, and he's coming back from something. So I'm going to pick my spot, but I'm waiting. I guarantee you this: my first attempt will not be caught.
Okay.
It won't be caught. I will find a way to get there, and I'll make sure I'm going to get there. I cannot be caught.
Understand.
So, but it's in my head. I'm checking every day. Is this the guy? Is this the guy we can do it on? Maybe, but we'll see.
Jack loves bags. And I was literally going to make the joke that, because I've bugged him at least like 4 times this year, like, when are you going to finally get one? I was like, Jack loves bags, and you're disappointing him every single week when you're not getting one. But yeah, we'll wait for the guy who legitimately closes his eyes and takes 10 seconds to come.
Like Fletcher might have been the guy. David Fletcher.
Shit. That's what we were supposed to ask you about. All right. That's the last question real quick. What the hell did that look like?
David Fletcher.
I mean, it was nothing crazy. He said he didn't have his knuckle that day. He said it because I saw him the next day, and I got a second. And he was just like, what do we got? Like, you throw it again today? And he's like, I hope so. And I was like, and he's like, and I'm like, how's it feel or whatever? And he was just like, I didn't have my knuckleball yesterday. He's like, but like when I'm like, it feels different. And he's like, just watch out. Like, if I can, and he threw a couple that were like true knuckle. Like, it's not like a hanger, it's darting around. I think it's just, he was too wild with it. So you could kind of keyhole, and like, I think I ended up walking. First at bat, I rolled one over that like wasn't a good one. It was just 60. So it's like, trying to hit a 60-mile-an-hour pitch after 90 is tough. But, I mean, yeah, I saw his next start. It was like 6 hits against Norfolk, like 6 Ks, which is like, I guess he had it that day. And I mean, it's tough. Like, you're never training for that. Like, never do we work on that in BP. You're like, all right, we're going to do 60-mile-an-hour pitches. Even a position player, like, we faced a lot of them in Gwinnett, and it's like, it's tough at bat. It's weird. It should be easy, but it's not. It's like your timing's thrown off. You feel like you can't do the thoughts that like we're locking me in for other pitchers, because it's like it's completely different. You kind of just got to go up there and like you're in a backyard, like try to whack one. Like it's like a wiffle ball game. That's really what it felt like. And guys were like, I mean, guys were pissed just because it's frustrating. I don't know, like you're locked in and like you're starting to put good swings on actual pitchers. Then like this guy comes in and then you're just like, what you were working on, you can't really think about because it's not going to work. Or like maybe you do think about it and then it doesn't work. So I don't know, guys were not happy about like the amount of position players we had to face in it. That's for sure. I mean, fair enough because it's tough. But
he's a pitcher now, so I guess get used to it. You can't call him that anymore. I think he's now just made the transition.
Yeah, no, he faced Double-A, gave them some fits, couple homers.
Yeah,
they got a couple of homers off him though.
Yeah, no, but I think that kind of ties into what you were talking about with the adjustability and having that slower bat speed to be able to adjust to where that pitch is to be able to survive. Because if you're taking a mega hack, you're A++ on a knuckleball where you don't know where it's going to end up, probably going to be a little bit difficult to clip 100%. That consistently. But as people can tell, like we could do this for 2 hours. And I already promised you that we'd be 40 minutes. Not that you were trying to cut it short, but you're like, oh, what's the time on? I'm like, oh, we'll shoot for 30, 40. Of course, we end up going close to an hour here, but I will blame some of that on your incredibly thoughtful and great responses here. And I really do appreciate you, dude, like opening up and sharing all of those thoughts that, you and I get to talk about all the time, but I know the audience was very excited and eager to hear just a hitter's perspective. And I think you have a rare ability. I'm going to go back to not gassing you up after this, but like you do have a really rare ability to be able to translate that, I think, to folks, whether they work in the game a ton or, are still just very much learning what goes into hitting. So I think people that are listening can definitely attest to that. And again, really appreciate what you did to be able to kind of liaison that. I will say this week now, I'm excited because you pretty much set the bar so high for yourself, but now you felt like you found that feel. Like how do you, and this will be the last question as you go, what kind of goal do you set for yourself going into a week like this where you obviously don't have to match what you did last week. You obviously want to keep having the feels. Guys could execute pitches. You could just have a bad week because guys executed pitches and you hit it at some guys. Like what is your goal? 'Cause you said this week is big to make this a successful week for you.
Yeah, I think literally, obviously want the results, but more important is just like taking the same feel I had last week. Like I want every at bat to feel like that because like that's what it was after the first game. From then on, like the work was the same, the intent was like what I was trying to feel was the same, and then when I got in the box, it felt the same. It's like I'm just like the same. That'd be my goal for this week. Like results probably not gonna be the same, but if I can feel the same in the box every time, the results will be there. Whether or not it's a crazy week, but I'll be putting balls in play and hopefully in controlling the top. I think would be another. Just continue to do the work at the top and make sure that's translating. And I think if we're there, then we're in a good spot.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll let you get ready for this ball game, get ready for this series. And thank you so much for hopping on, dude. I really appreciate it. And keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.